Lord Jamar, welcome back.
Vlad, what up?
Everything good, man.
Yes,
so,
sir.
First of all, have you gotten your mindset right yet?
My mindset?
Right, because Yachty said that your mindset is off.
I thought you meant from us hanging out. That's funny. Is my mindset right? I mean, it all depends on what mindset you think is right or left. You know what I mean? Like if you say my mindset is not in the mindset of mainstream America and what is being promoted in today's society, then I'd have to agree with him. My mindset is not right, you know? But that mindset is actually left. You see, my mindset is right. You see, I'm dealing more right brain than left brain. Yeah, like, listen, the little guy, you know, he obviously is crying out for some sort of help. You know what I mean? And I'm willing to help him. Like, let's talk. You know what I mean? You want to talk to Lord Jamar? Let's talk. I think the young man thinks I hate him or, you know, I got some sort of something against him. It's nothing like that. I don't know you. I don't have anything personal against you. I just feel that your music is whack. It doesn't represent what I know to be traditional hip hop. And I just think he need a little guidance, that's all. You know what I mean? So come, sit down with the God. Let me explain to you, you know, what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong in my eyes. And you could take it or leave it. But there's no hate here. You know what I mean?
Well, I never realized that he's only 19.
Right.
I thought he was a little older because, you know, he's like kind of big and, you know,
Right.
like kind of tall and sort of bulky. So I thought he was maybe, you know, 25 or so. But no, he's 19. He's a teenager.
But I mean, the way he talk and all of that and just the way he move, it makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, he is a teenager. So, and it's like, I can't go hard on no, you know, on no teenager. It's not like he's doing the worst shit, although we haven't talked about this album cover yet. But, yeah, I don't hate the little guy. You know what I mean? He's a little kid. He just, you know what I mean? We can't get mad at the younger generation if we didn't do what we needed to do to teach them. So we talk all this shit about, oh, they not doing real hip hop, blah, blah, blah. Who sat these motherfuckers down? Who sat them down and said, this is what real hip hop is? You know, I think a lot of these motherfuckers just, they had to just rely on their own devices. You know what I mean? And they just took from what it was ever being given to them in pop culture. You know what I mean? So they mixed hip hop with, you know, rock, with pop, with, you know what I mean? Folk, whatever they wanted to mix it with.
Right, because I just interviewed Cassidy, and we talked about, you know, because he did the thing at the Rough Rider show.
Who the best MC? Me, J. Cole, or Kendrick? I miss the days when Jay took over the business. I witnessed Hova change the world. I'm a Jehovah Witness. I never chose to listen to Yachty and Lil
That was big to say that in Brooklyn,
Let's take
too.
it back to
About
Jeezy, Weezy, and Lil Boosie. I might listen to Tip Ross and a Lil Gucci, but these little newbies make me feel a little woozy. I usually be wanting the Earl, cause Young and May the only one punching, but she still punch like a girl. Yo, you gotta be a trapper, be a crapper, be a backpacker, or know how to sing to be a rapper. Facts.
I'm straight about bars, punching, real hip hop. So I feel as though like dudes that do that type of music, they should be in their own category. It should be another name for that type of music that they do.
So if you want to be so innovative, Make up a new genre and stop. Because if you think about it, that's like them culture vulturing hip hop. How about that?
How about that?
Because you're not doing hip hop, but you're profiting off of the label of being a rapper. You see? And you're doing rap-esque things. You know, all your jewelry and shit is like what a rapper would wear, but you're not that type of dude. Like,
right, because when I interviewed Quavo from the Migos, who I think is really dope, we kind of got into a debate whether he's a rapper or a singer. Do you consider it singing in terms of what you do, or do you still consider it rapping?
Nah, I don't call it singing. I just call it like, you know what I mean, just some trap funk.
I mean, but
I
it
call it trap funk.
I mean, you could kind of say it's like singing, though. And I don't mean this as a, I'm not taking away nothing from it. I personally think it's dope. Just calling it for what it is. I think he's a dope singer. And, he kind of
I think
raps
he's a
as well.
melodic rapper. You see, there's a difference between calling someone an out-and-out singer, because if you talk to real singers, you understand what I'm saying? They're not going to call Quavo a singer. They're not going to call your boy from Ray Shrimmer a fucking singer. You understand? But they're singing. You see what I'm saying? They're doing something melodic, but where somebody is actually trained to be a singer, they're going to be like, those people are not singers. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're not belting out songs. Like Drake is a singer.
Drake is a singer.
Drake can sing.
What about J. Cole?
He can sing. I'm not going to call him a singer though, but he can sing. You see what I'm saying? He's not belting out songs like a singer, but he can carry a tune and he sounds good. He could sing.
Kendrick?
I wouldn't call him a singer. I'd call him a melodic rapper.
Everyone's now a melodic rapper. If you think about it, the only non-melodic rapper is like, who's at a high level these days is like Jay-Z.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. And even he does.
No.
Not to melodic in that type of way, but he'll do little things.
Yeah, but it sounds
like those are melodic notes that he's hitting. You
yeah, but it sounds kind of awkward when he does it, so I don't think he does it very often. I think that he knows his own limitations.
Right.
He knows he's, unlike a Kanye, who is a melodic rapper.
Right.
And I think somewhat of a singer as well.
No, he's not a singer. He's a melodic
rapper.
He tries to sing. And I say not a singer by the standards of real singers, how a real singer would look at it. You know what I mean? Like the likes of a Whitney Houston, Mariah, those are real singers.
Yeah.
So now when you ask them if those people are singers, like, no. They're a singer like I'm a singer. Like I can sing in the shower. Like I can hold a note and shit like that.
If they're a singer, I'm a rapper.
But I can't, belt something out on some, you know what I mean? Make you cry type of shit. Like that's not gonna happen.
So back to Yachty. Mm-hmm. He dropped his album cover.
Oh boy.
Teenage Emotions.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
What does the whole cover imply? Like what do you feel he's trying to say with that?
That I guess that he's representing all this.
I mean, what I got from it when I looked at it is that he's trying to say he is the king of the abnormal.
Yeah.
He is the king of what some people might call freaks or the unusual. He's the king of the unusual. So, if that's what you want to be, that's cool. But then you just kind of told on, like you're trying to help this homosexual, agenda by putting those two people up in the left-hand corner of the picture kissing. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, you're proving my point by putting them in that picture, you're saying this is abnormal. Because look, I got a bunch of abnormal people in this picture. How many fucking albinos do you see walking down the street every day? How many people with vitiligo do you see walking down the street every day? How many people with green mohawks do you see walking down the street every day? These are abnormal things.
You see fat white girls walking around every day.
Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is there's probably more to the story of that fat white girl. She probably was a lesbian or something like that. There's more to her than just being a fat white girl. And all I'm saying is all these things are not normal. Like, you might as well have the mouse with the ear on the fucking growing out of its back, and a fucking, you know, the bearded lady. All of the abnormal shit, just put it in that fucking picture. But now we have to admit that everything in that picture is abnormal. That doesn't mean we should hate what's in the picture. But everything in that picture is abnormal, including Yachty. Okay? Because it's not just me who thinks that maybe the young man, I mean, I know he's young, but he seems a little special ed-ish, if we're going to keep it real.
You think he's slightly retarded?
I don't know. He seems a little slow to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just me. You know what I mean? And I've heard this from a lot of people. Like, he seemed like, you know, he might have rode the short bus. You know what I mean? But I'm not trying to diss him. I'm just saying that's how he honestly, I see him. Like, he seems a little, you know, we all knew dudes like that. Like, there was dudes that was cool we hung out with, but then they went off to the other class. Like, you know what I mean? And it was like, oh shit, like he's in special ed. But that don't mean he was full on retarded, but he just might have had some sort of learning disability or something that makes you a little bit slower than the rest of the pack. You know what I mean? So, and that's not normal. You know what I mean? So he's just sitting in the middle like, yeah, I'm just reveling in abnormality. And if that's what you want to do, that's cool. I don't know what those little gender signs at the bottom are supposed to signify. You know, that might get people mad too. Why are you showing gender signs? Like, in this day and time, there's supposed to be no gender, right? So why would he do that? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't get the impression that Yachty is gay.
Oh, I didn't say that I get the impression he's gay.
I don't. In fact, I mean, his new singles, Play With the Pussy Like Peekaboo. Like,
that what it's called?
That's what it's called, yeah.
Play with the pussy like peekaboo.
I mean, the song is called Peekaboo, but that's the chorus.
That's hilarious. You see?
You ever heard it?
No. That's some shit that a half a retard though would make. Like, Vlad.
Okay, so
Vlad,
hold on. Okay, hold on. So we just heard Yachty's
fucking play with me right now.
We just heard Yachty's new single Peekaboo.
Please don't tell me that you think that is good, because you're gonna get fucking roasted in the comments, B. Please don't do it to yourself. You've already said some heinous shit on here before in the past. Please don't do it to yourself. Please don't say you like that song. And the beat was regular. It was not dope.
I like the beat. I'm not really a fan of Yachty's performance on that song. I didn't like the chorus. It actually kind of got dope when the Migos jumped on it, you know, because the Migos sort of do the last part of the song.
Okay.
And when they jump on it, it kind of clicks into place. You know what I'm saying?
I can't even listen that long. I can't even get to that part. That was horrible.
Yeah. The thing about Yachty is that I'm not going to say I like all his songs at all. He has a few, when he's produced a certain type of way, people can make it work. Like, for example, the Broccoli song, what I didn't know until somewhat recently was that Rick Rubin put that together.
Really?
Yeah.
He made the beat?
He made the beat, he produced it. That's his song. He works with drum.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
In fact, also I had heard that he's a huge Young Thug fan. Like, that's all, like, I know someone that hung out with him recently, and that was like all he was listening to.
Okay.
Yeah. But that song has gone like 5 times platinum. And now the Rick Rubin part kind of makes sense. You know, you got one of the greatest music producers of all time piecing that together.
It doesn't fully make sense to me, but okay.
And there's a few Yachty songs I like. I like that song One Night.
I don't know his shit like that.
The nursery
rhyme,
the ABC.
Yeah, okay. Right.
I like a few of Yachty's songs, but sometimes I feel like if he is not produced carefully, I'm not a big fan of it. I feel it kind of just goes left. But that's just me. I'm obviously not his core demographic. I'm much older. But Yachty, I like that one song, I Spy. That was kind of cool.
Now, is that his whole song?
No, that's him. He's featured on the song by, I think, Kyler or I forgot what the name of the artist
I
is.
don't know who that is. But the second I heard that song, I said, oh, this song is out of here. Not that I even like it. I just know that song is a fucking hit. Like, it just sounds like a fucking hit as soon as you hear it.
I Spy with my
although
little
it's so
eye.
simple, it's not no shit I would ever play, but at least I can hear that and say, okay, I get it. Like, I can see the catchiness to it. And as soon as I heard it, I was able to point my finger at that and say, motherfucker's gonna like that right here. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, that Yachty now has a bunch of hit records under his belt. He has done better than 99.9% of the rappers who have tried.
Right,
You know
but
what I
that
mean?
doesn't make you good still. You understand?
Well, but it does say something. It does
It
say
just
something.
says that somehow you resonate with this generation. You know what I mean? They're fucking with you, but that doesn't mean that you're good.
So you got people that are putting this together that are music industry veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So, he is, the front man of a bigger production. Not exactly like Milli Vanilli, because Milli Vanilli was just lip syncing. This is obviously his own vocals, but you had a powerhouse behind you putting this together, choosing the beats probably.
Right. So are these people also choosing the album covers and shit like that?
Well,
Because part of me feels like he doesn't even fully understand his own album cover.
Well, he clearly okayed it. You see him happy right in the middle. Obviously, if Yachty did not want two guys kissing, he would say, I don't want an album cover with two guys kissing. That's the end of the story.
That's not what the whole album cover is about.
But that's what everyone is focusing on. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, hey, did you see the girl with Villa Largo on Yachty's album cover? Yo, that Villa Largo girl's crazy. Yo, he had this albino fat kid that and he had little dreads. No, everyone's like, Yachty got a gay album cover. That's what everyone's saying.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, was it his idea? He might have okayed it, like you said, but was it his idea? And just because he okayed it, was he talked into it? You know what I mean? Or did he just show up and sit in the fucking middle? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know how involved these dudes are in their own fucking careers and how, if they're looking at the different aspects to the things that they're doing.
I think involved, not involved, it is his album cover. If he did not feel that, he would have just said, I'm not doing it. The end. That's what would have happened.
No, not that's you're assuming that somebody has full control of their life, and you know what I mean? Like, don't act like there's not Svengalis out there. There's not people that can fucking manipulate you and say some shit to a motherfucker to get you to do some shit that you don't even fully understand. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody is as, together as you might be. You understand?
Well, this is the first major hip-hop album cover with a gay scene on it.
Well, hold up. I thought just earlier we said we're not calling it hip-hop.
Well,
We need to call it something else. So this is not a hip-hop album cover because he don't do hip-hop. He does whatever this new thing that we're going to call it. That's the first album cover in that. But as far as hip-hop, there is no hip-hop album cover with some gay shit on it like that because that's not hip-hop.
so this is the first mumble rap gay album cover.
Absolutely.
In the short history of mumble rap.
Absolutely. And if this is, and in the short history of mumble rap, if a cover like that comes up so quickly, just imagine how the mumble rap covers will be 10 years from now. Okay? And if we go with the raunchiness, if you're gonna play with the pussy like a what?
Peekaboo.
like a peekaboo, what you gonna be doing 10 years from now? Huh? I don't even want to say it, but you know.
Aaron Hernandez. One of the most interesting stories in all of sports history. You've never had an active professional player end up killing somebody right in the middle of their career.
Word. And accused of multiple murders.
Multiple murders. He beat the other two.
Right, but he was accused.
He was convicted of the one.
Mm-hmm.
What makes this somewhat interesting is that this is not just like a bench warmer on some
Right, he was a star.
losing team. This
was
was a star on the best football team in modern history.
Right.
Since maybe like the 49ers, during their run in the 80s, where you had the most winningest coach in NFL history, right?
Oh, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, won the most Super Bowls in NFL history. Tom Brady, who could be argued as being the best quarterback of all time. Joe Montana is, up there as well.
I'd probably give it to Brady.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people would give it to Brady. So during the time he was in jail, he watched his team win 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
On his, 10-inch black and white television. Surrounded by a bunch of murderers and rapists and child molesters and other various criminals.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Imagine the roasting that must have occurred. Like, hey, motherfucker, that could have been you.
Come on, B. Like.
That hurt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even if they didn't say it, you could probably hear their thoughts. You know what I mean? Like
everyone just looking at you.
Yeah, like they niggas score a touchdown, everybody just turn around. Fuck this nigga. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably what, and he got sad, and one of these niggas consoled him, I heard. And that's a whole other shit right there.
Now the story comes out around his death, where there was allegedly a letter to his gay lover.
Then I'm hearing that this letter was not true.
Well, the lawyer's saying that, but the lawyer, I think, is going to protect his ex-client's best interest, because here's the thing: he had a $20 million contract with the Patriots. Mm-hmm. At the time that he got arrested and convicted, he ended up losing that $20 million. But at the time that he died, he had already beaten the double murder. And the double murder was somehow tied to the murder that he was convicted for, the single murder that he was convicted for. So therefore, his lawyer appealed that murder conviction, and the appeal was starting to move through the system. So based on the loophole, he technically died an innocent man.
So now he can get his money.
So now his family could potentially get that $20 million.
Right.
So, and guess which lawyer is going to be responsible for getting that money? That same lawyer. So obviously he's going to do whatever to paint his client as the angel that he wants him to be.
Well, I'm saying, what would that have to do, even if he did have a gay lover, why would that stop them from getting any money? See what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
Like, protecting his image, why?
Well, because the story was the guy he killed was gay, and he had killed him because he was going to expose him to the world as being gay.
Oh, yeah.
That's the stories that are circulating. I mean...
But then I thought the guy he killed was the fiance of his somebody's sister or his girl's sister, some shit.
Don't mean you can't be a switch hitter.
Yeah, that's true. I mean...
how many gay guys have you heard of who have wife and kids and families? And
This is true.
Mr. C has kids, right?
Does he? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, actually. But there has been a lot of down low gay men with families and kids.
You're right. You're right.
So there's that whole thing. I mean, if this is not a Hollywood movie, I don't know what is. This has everything in it. And what we reported on, which everyone else missed, was that at the time that he died, they had like the Bible, John 3:16 or something like that in blood on his forehead. But what was also on the wall was
Illuminati in
his own blood and a pyramid with an eye at the top. So you could say the Illuminati killed Aaron Hernandez. He was also smoking synthetic weed, which is not exactly weed.
Oh, come on. That's the shit that'll drive motherfuckers batty. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, have you eaten somebody's face off type of shit, you know?
Right. It's a shame that they call it synthetic weed. It really gives weed a bad name.
Crazy.
Because it doesn't actually have anything to do with weed. I think the only similarity is that it might be green and flaky.
Right. And you can roll it up in a joint or something like that.
Right.
That's it.
That's it. Other than that, it's like...
Why would you even want to make synthetic weed? Like, I don't even understand that.
Yeah, real weed is easy enough
Weed
to make.
is the great, like, it's already great. You can't make it no better. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Well, they've been making it better over
what
the
I'm
years.
saying is, not on no man-made shit. You can morph together different strains and shit like that.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna try to just remove nature totally out of the equation and think you're gonna do something better than that, see, that's the arrogance of a lot of these fucking human beings. Y'all motherfuckers think that you know better than nature. You think that you can outdo nature when nature has made the most perfect creations that can ever be created. You can't surpass nature. You don't know better than nature. And it's only your arrogance and your ego that lets you believe, oh, no, nature got it wrong. I can do better. I can take it to the next level.
In the future, most children will be created through in vitro as opposed to natural means.
And that's sick.
Because
they're engineering it like that.
Because it's safer.
Come on, B. Like, how much bullshit is introduced in the name of safety and, what's supposed to be good for you? Like, America has given up so many civil liberties in the name of, it's safe. We're keeping ourselves safe from terrorism.
Okay.
So now, people have been having babies for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years.
Yeah.
And you're gonna tell me that now you've come up with something that's safer. And this is how you're gonna bill it to me, that it's safer.
Well, let's put it like this.
How many women really die during childbirth? What's the statistics?
Back in the day, like half the women would die.
Today. And back in the day, what are the demographics of these women? Were these poor European women, malnourished European women? What was the demographic of African women living in natural environments? What was their rate of losing babies and having and dying during childbirth? I bet you it was very low. The problem you're talking about probably existed for white women, okay, in dark ages Europe type of shit.
Well, listen, back in the day, right, like, listen, I know someone who, when they gave birth, they lost a lot of blood.
So do I.
Right. They had to be given a blood transfusion to keep
I
them
know
alive.
somebody, and they were pale for the rest of their life.
Okay, well, this person's still the same color. But
This person was Puerto Rican, the one I know, and they were kind of tan, and after that, they looked just mad.
Okay, well, the person I know who gave birth had a blood transfusion still looks the same.
Because they was white, right?
No, they were black.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day, before there was blood transfusions, that she would have just died. That would have been it, right?
Maybe.
Well, you bleed out, you lose too much
okay.
blood, you die. Like that's just it is
But
what it
maybe
is.
she, who said they would have, why was she bleeding out? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe they did some dumb shit to make her bleed out that they wouldn't have done back then. You see what I'm saying? Because don't think that we're at the pinnacle of science and medicine and all that shit. We're not.
No, I mean, but for example, I just interviewed Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs, and he's a Jehovah's Witness. He believes, based on his belief, his religion, you do not give a blood transfusion.
Well, first and foremost, there are a lot of other options that you could go with, that you don't necessarily have to always take blood. The doctor, that's the first thing a doctor's going to tell you, is that you need blood. But they never tell you about the other options because they just want to give you blood for some reason. You know what I'm saying? So there are other options that you can do. But however, there is sometimes to where it is possible that a person needs blood, and that's the person, you know, witnesses just believe that that's when you truly rely on God. Because in the Bible it says that blood is the source of life. So you are to sustain from eating it or doing anything else with it.
That's a different argument than what I'm talking about as far as trying to supersede nature. See, if you're bleeding out and I give you a blood transfusion, right?
Someone else's blood.
I'm going to give you someone else's blood, which comes from nature. I'm not going to give you synthetic blood. Because synthetic blood is not going to work as good as
Well, I don't know if there is
blood.
such a thing as synthetic blood.
I think there is, actually.
Is there?
There might be. Look it up. But if there is, trust me, it's not as good as real blood. Nothing you can do that's synthetic is going to be as good as the original.
There is such a thing as synthetic blood. Blood substitute.
Right. But now, could you fill a whole person's body with that and they live? Probably not. Probably not. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of arrogance going on, and a lot of it, I gotta be honest, you know, originates in a European's mind, where he feels that he knows better than nature. He knows better than God. He knows better than what's existed for so much longer than you've even been on this planet.
But why take medicine then? You know, if you get
Why
sick,
take medicine? Because nature provided medicine for you to take.
well, natural medicine, but what
Yes,
about pills and stuff like that?
I'm not suggest that you take that.
So you don't take antibiotics?
Listen,
You don't take antibiotics, really?
I've taken antibiotics
there you
in
go.
my life. Listen, but right now, if you would have given me the choice between a natural cure and some fucking pills, I'm gonna go with the natural every time.
Okay.
I had fucking sciatica. Motherfuckers would have went and got surgery and shit like that. The pain was excruciating. What I do, I went and got acupuncture.
Okay.
And the shit is gone. Okay?
Yeah.
Stretching and acupuncture along with natural herbs is what the fuck I took.
Okay. Fair enough. But you have taken antibiotics.
Yes, of course I have.
I would probably be dead right now if it wasn't for antibiotics. I've had, like, you know, over the course of my life, I've had throat infections. And,
What I'm saying, you know there's
that have gone
natural
bad that I've had
antibiotics, right?
I'm not familiar.
You know that every pharmaceutical that exists comes from a plant, right?
Pretty much.
Like it's derived from the natural medicine. They've just synthesized it and made it in a way where they can make money off of it.
Right. Let me tell you something.
All things originate from nature. Gives you everything you need.
My plan is to have a robot body and live for thousands of years. This is what I want to do. At the point that my body breaks down, I want my brain to be put in a robot body so I can still function and go do my thing, just like in the science fiction movies. I want to be an android. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to live on this planet for as long as possible. And in fact, the key to immortality is to live long enough until the next medical breakthrough comes around to cure whatever it is that is killing you. That's my plan.
What if I told you you're already in a robot body?
I'm already in a robot body? How so?
Because See, you think that this is you. This is not you. This is a fucking robot. This is an avatar. The real you is inside you. Okay, but this is a whole nother conversation, like, you know what I mean? You already do live forever. That's all I can say about that. This is just a vehicle that we driving around. This shit is like a car, a fucking house. This is not who you are. This body that you have, this is your wish already came true. You know what I mean? You just don't even realize it. You see? Like, okay, let's just say that happened, right? Let's just say you died. They put your brain in a robot body, but your brain still thought it was in the same body.
Well, at some point you'll figure it out.
Why? How? Why? Why would you figure it out?
Why? Because the robot body is just the same as the real body?
Yeah, who said it's a metal robot body? We're dealing now with high sciences. If we can do that, then the robot is going to look like a real fucking human being. The skin's going to feel real, all of that. Unless I ripped myself open right now, and even still, I can make a robot that has on the first layer some blood and tendons and all. Unless I really go inside myself, how do you know you don't have circuitry inside you right now?
You don't?
You don't. You're going on the faith of what you've been told of what's inside your body. Okay? Of what is going on. You're relying that there is a brain in there. There's a heart, there's lungs, but you never autopsied yourself.
Never.
So you're working on faith.
You are.
We could all have fucking circuitry right now inside of us.
This is true. There might be some grand conspiracy on every level.
It's not about a conspiracy. No, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. What I'm saying is,
the earth might be flat. The flat earthers out there.
I'm not saying that either.
There might not have been dinosaurs. Someone went and buried all these things.
No, I'm saying dinosaurs.
All these fake bones.
I'm saying dinosaurs might have lived alongside humans.
I mean, science says otherwise, but okay.
Science has been wrong about so many things.
Yeah, but faith as well.
Huh?
The Bible and the Quran and the Torah have been wrong also.
That's different. That's not
how often
that's not about the faith. That's about the manipulation of words and ideas.
Like how often?
But faith in itself, you have to have faith in this world. Every time you walk outside, you have faith.
Right.
Every time you wake up, you have faith.
Like how often?
Every time you go to sleep, you have faith.
How often do you hear about some preacher somewhere or some cult leader or whatever you want to call it announce to all his followers, how often do you hear a preacher or a cult leader announce to all his followers that the world is ending on a certain date? They should start selling all their things, getting ready for Jesus to come down in a flying saucer and take them all to take all the believers to a better place while everyone else will
What does
burn.
that have to do with what I'm talking about?
You could create anything in your mind and create a scenario and so forth. But ultimately, facts are facts. Things come true or they don't come true.
Right.
In terms of predicting things, science does a slightly better job than religious books.
Well, first of all, what I'm talking about has nothing to do with religion. Faith is not about religion.
It's intermixed sometimes.
Well, it's a tenet of certain portions of religion, but it's not religion in itself. Faith is faith. You can have faith in something and not attach it to any type of religious iconography. The problem is people put their faith in the wrong things. So if you put your faith in the preacher, who is a person, instead of putting your faith in God or in nature, who is tried and true, then you'll be disappointed and then you'll feel like faith is some bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right. So for example, you had dreads, but were you ever a Rasta?
No, not like that. But, I feel like the 5% are almost like, the Rastas of America.
Right,
we have very similar outlooks on things.
In Rastafari religion, they felt that Haile Selassie was a god, or was God on earth. And one of the justifications was that, I guess, Jamaica had a drought for a long time, and Haile Selassie, who was the king of Ethiopia at the time, came to visit, and when he got off the plane, suddenly it started raining. So everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is God. This is what we thought was true," et cetera, et cetera. And then, you know, after he died, people like Bob Marley, you know, started to worship him. People still do. People have pictures on him, you know, on their clothing and their shirts and so forth. You know, mighty God is a living man.
But he is. I'm that mighty God who is the living man. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? Like, but not just me. It's not just Haile Selassie is God. You see what I'm saying? Like, man is God. First of all, and not just man, like God is in all things. God is in nature. You see what I'm saying? Like, God is what is creation. You know what I mean? And it's supreme creation. And there's no creation higher than natural creation. Science, man-made science, is never going to supersede nature. Ever. Man-made science will never supersede nature. And it can try, and you know, it can try to fool you into thinking that it's somehow figured it, you know, it's figured this shit out better than what's been here for millions and billions of years. You understand what I'm saying? Like the whole system of nature, the way things grow and come into creation has been going on for so long. And then you got a group of people who've only existed for about 6,000 years that believe that they got it figured out.
Wait.
More than anybody else. I'm talking about European people.
Oh, European people. Okay.
Yes. The Europeans have only been here on this planet for approximately 6,000 years, whereas black people have been here for hundreds of thousands at least. Now, how the fuck is the little baby gonna come in and think that he knows more than the grandfather?
Well, the little baby got the weapons, you know, they kind of imposed their will.
And that's crazy. It's crazy that the little baby exactly are given, babies shouldn't play with men's toys. And if they do, some crazy shit can happen. If you give a baby a gun, what's gonna happen? He might shoot you, might shoot himself, might do all kind of crazy shit. So it's like, that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a little child who believes he's smarter than the parent. And it's got to stop.
Troy Ave, what are your thoughts in terms of where he's at these days and some of the things that have transpired recently? He did the Breakfast Club interview. He called himself New Pac. He spoke out against Banger's family. And, you know, he's beefing with my son. My son called him a bozo. He responded and so forth. So you have these various events that are happening as it's leading up to his trial.
Right. I mean, listen, when he first had the thing at Irving Plaza, I'm the one that said, well, you want to see some gangster shit? Troy Ave just did some gangster shit or whatever. That being said, I didn't like his Breakfast Club interview. You know, I felt it was very disrespectful to the family and, you know, some of the shit he was saying about, you know, burial and all this type of shit and his wishes. Like, who give a fuck? Like, that's, you know what I mean? That's their family member. Like, you just sit back and, you know what I mean? You do what you can do. Like, you know what I mean?
Or you don't say anything.
Or you don't say anything.
You know, because on multiple occasions, we've interviewed people who were essentially murderers.
Right.
From No Plug to Chi Ali to Mac from No Limit, bunch of people. You know, we interviewed Shaka Senghor recently. And I know that in each of these interviews, the family and friends of the victim probably were very enraged that this interview was even happening.
Right.
That I was giving light to a murderer. So when I had the effects of that, when people spoke out against me and called me various things, I understood. I didn't respond.
Right.
I understand that people grieve differently, and people will always grieve over a situation like that. This is someone they loved.
Right.
Regardless of the situation around it, they still lost their son, brother, friend, whatever. So I would never respond to anyone who criticizes me over a situation of someone dying.
Right.
Troy felt like he had to defend himself, though.
Right, and see, I don't like when people like try to make everything about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this man got killed holding you down. You know what I mean?
Well, allegedly. We don't know the situation
All right,
around it.
right. But I'm saying, from what I understand, this guy ran with him. He was his bodyguard, manager. I don't know, but he held him down just generally, like that was his man. You know what I mean? This is their family. They felt however they want to feel, right? So now they spoke out on social media and all of that. Now he went to apologize, which was supposed to be an apology. But the apology turned into, it's all about you. Like, it started off, yo, I didn't drop my album because today is Easter and I feel like blah, blah, blah. Why would you even talk about your album if this is an apology, an open letter to the woman that you disrespected, whose son got murdered? Then, as I'm reading what I thought was supposed to be the apology, I never actually saw where it said, I'm sorry. He starts to go into shit about him. Like, oh, you got to understand, at the time I was going through some shit. I was shot and I was in the hospital. And it's like, you're trying to make everything about you. And right now, that's the worst thing to do. It's not about you.
At all.
It's not about you. It's about a man who lost his life, running with you.
Right, because when I just interviewed my son, and he's good friends with Trife, who is Banger's brother.
Okay.
And he was saying how
I was at a conference in Sacramento, and he had texted me. He had texted me like, yo, I can't believe this, such, whatever he texted me. He was angry, and he sent me the clip of the interview. So I didn't immediately listen or watch it because I was like asleep or whatever. So then he calls me. He's just like, yo, did you see the interview? And I'm like, nah, I didn't see it. And he's like, yo, my mother's crying, my sister's crying, like, can't believe he even said this and that and that. And I'm like, what did he say? He's like, yo, you gotta watch it for yourself, man. You just gotta watch it for yourself.
Shit is still raw. I mean, please. Motherfuckers, somebody could have got killed a year, 2 years ago. The shit's still raw.
right, because the answer really could have been, hey, my condolences to his family.
Right.
I hope they I wish them.
I'm here for them. I'm ready to do whatever.
Whatever.
Blah,
This
blah,
is a very
blah.
difficult time. There's nothing that I could say that'll ever bring back their family member. The end.
Right.
Well, what about? I have nothing to say about that regard. I wish the family the best.
Right. Now, I also want to just, before I forget, I want to comment on the Tupac part of it, because he ain't the only one. Like, there's a bunch of people right now.
Well, Boosie did an interview with us right afterwards,
Right.
where he announced that his next album is going to be called Bupac.
My next album, bro, this is going to be my biggest album to date. My next album, I'm naming it Bupac, man.
Bupac,
Yeah,
like Tupac.
Bupac.
People gonna get on you for this.
Yeah, I know it's going to be a big old thing, but, it's in my heart, and,
Here's the thing. And I know, Troy Ave said, oh, I'm not trying to be Pac. I just, the feeling. No. It doesn't feel like Pac. I was there. You know what I mean? Like, if niggas think that getting shot and getting locked up makes you liken to Pac, you got another thing coming. You know what I mean? Like, you got to understand the whole foundations of a Tupac and the spirit and the heart and the love that he had for black people.
He was a Black Panther.
Right. So, and all that thug life was a strategy, is what people don't understand. It was a strategy to try to pull in the gangsters, pull in the ones who need guidance. Let me pull them in, get them to respect me, and now I can steer them in the proper way. But before he really got a chance to do the steering, he gets taken out. You
Right.
dig? So all I'm saying is, you know, if you want to be like Pac, if you want it to feel like Pac, then you have to have that component in your arsenal. You can't just get shot. You can't just get locked up. They can't be just pictures of you coming out of fucking court in a wheelchair with your leg up, you know. You got to have a certain passion, you know what I mean? A certain dedication to wanting to see your people free.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care how tough you act in an interview, how arrogant you may portray yourself. At the moment that Troy Ave wakes up to the moment that he goes to sleep, he realizes that he may go to prison for the rest of his life. That is a possibility. Right. We don't know what's going to happen in this courtroom. I don't know. I didn't talk to anyone about it. Everything I know is what everyone else knows, you know. So he may feel in his own mind that he was justified, that he did this or whatever else. Once you step in that courtroom and you have a jury full of older, middle-aged people who are not rap fans, you know, because it's very easy to go through Twitter and say, yeah, man, everyone's saying, you know, I'm going to get off. I think I'm going to get off. Those Twitter users are not going to be on the jury.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because once that jury selection starts, the prosecutor is going to say, do you listen to hip hop? Yeah, occasionally. He's off.
Right.
What about you? Is there any rap records you like? Yeah, I do listen to rap part of the time. You're
Bye.
off. That's what's going to happen. Every rap fan is going to get picked off one after another. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to have a single person who's going to relate to Troy Ave on that jury. I could almost guarantee you that. I could almost, because this is what, I mean, this is the game in the courtroom, right?
This is America, God damn it. Like,
it's like, you know, you want people, you're picking people that you feel you could connect to on your side.
right.
And you're going to pick off people that you think are going to be hurtful. You know, like for example,
Each side, that's their job, though.
Yeah.
To try to defense wants people that listen to
Right.
rap, probably.
for everyone who's listening, if you ever want to get out of jury duty, and I have done this before, I don't know if I should be admitting this on camera or not, but if you want to get out of jury duty, when they start going through the questioning process, pick both sides. It's, you know, do you think that you could be fair and impartial? No, I can't be because, you know, just, you know, if it's like a murder, yeah, because my best friend was murdered and I hate murderers. And if it's like, you know, if it's an embezzlement charge, I got embezzled by my best friend. I hate him. I wish they'll all die. Start doing that stuff during the selection process.
Right.
Okay, this one,
Never
this
mind.
one can leave. This one can leave. This is how it works. So I think that Troy is going through some mental disorder right now. Because at the end of the day, you can call yourself Dope Boy Troy and you can say whatever else like this. I don't think Troy has a criminal record. Troy has never been to prison. Troy has never faced something like this. This is not a hardened criminal that's like, yeah, I did 5 years, I could do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like people literally, there are certain people that say, I'm gonna do this and I'm preparing myself to do 2 or 3 years over this. Like this person here, I'm gonna beat him up And I've told my family that I'm going to be away for a couple of years because it's important for me to put hands on this person.
And some of these people, they've been in jail so much, they could do that standing on their head.
They could do it.
No problem.
All my friends in there. You know what I'm saying? I could do the box. I could do this.
I'm with it. Let's go.
I'm going to walk in and I might get treated better in jail than I would out in the streets.
Right.
For whatever reason. You know, like I remember I just interviewed this rapper named Mr. Capone.
Yeah, was that the Mexican?
Right. He's actually not Mexican, but he is a Sereno, you know, gangster rapper.
Right.
You know, that grew up with a Mexican gang and presents himself like a Mexican gang member, essentially.
Oh, so he's white?
They say he's Pakistani. He kind of danced around the topic a little bit. We could talk about that in a second.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like American Me. You ever watch that movie?
Right. It's exactly
and
like
the white
that. There's
one.
the white guy.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. And he talked about how
as a kid growing up, jail was like a victory. Like you get a prize. Like I kind of wanted to be in jail. Like my dreams, like it even sounds crazy as hell, but my dreams were like I want to be doing life in prison.
As a 17-year-old kid, you dreamed
to
to have life in prison.
I dreamed that.
Right.
Which sounds crazy to me. Who the hell wants that? Who the hell wants to be in prison with a bunch of men?
Somebody that was brought up and to believe that that's the shit.
Yeah.
You see?
Exactly. And he went to prison a bunch of times over various violent crimes and so forth like that. Troy is not like this. You could wear all the crack hats you want. You could wear all the bulletproof vests you like.
Right.
I've asked
I don't
around.
like that either. The wearing of the bulletproof vest is corny to me. Like.
Support for the Vlad Couch comes from the Dollar Shave Club. Get a great shave at a great price, conveniently delivered right to your door with the Dollar Shave Club. It's the smarter choice. Dollar Shave Club is the perfect life hack. You don't have to schlep to your local convenience store to buy a cheap disposable razor that'll give you a bad shave or spend a fortune on razors with gimmicky shaving tech you didn't need. And when you use your Dollar Shave Club executive razor with their Dr. Carver's shave butter, the blade just gently glides, giving you such a smooth shave. It's transparent for a much more precise shave and helps prevent ingrown hairs and fights razor bumps. You too can make the smarter choice by joining Dollar Shave Club today. For a limited time, new members get their first month of the executive razor with a tube of their Dr. Shave butter for only $5 with free shipping. After that, razors are just a few bucks a month. That's a $15 value for only $5. In your first month box, you get an awesome weighty handle, a full cassette of 4 cartridges, and a tube of their shave butter. After that first month, replacement cartridges ship automatically at their regular price. There are no hidden fees and commitments. Cancel anytime you like. Get this exclusive offer at dollarshaveclub.com/Vlad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/VLAD. What do you think of my song calling him a bozo?
I ain't got a problem with it. Like, you know what I mean? I fucks with my song.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you know, if you do bozo shit, like motherfuckers are gonna call you a bozo. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Because, you know, Mice was telling me about, like, for example, when he was going through his court case and stuff like that.
I remember going to trial, facing trial for shit that I didn't do, and sitting there going to court with a suit every day, because my lawyer said, if you come in here looking like you from the street, they're gonna send you to jail, because that's just the reality of the situation.
This guy comes in with a mink on and a bulletproof vest on, you know, with a hat that's got, you know, instructions to cook crack on it. It's like, what are you doing?
Wait, he came to court like that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Troy
one
Ave did
of his
that.
hearings, yeah. He showed up to court like that.
A hat with instructions to cook crack on it.
Yes. He is going through something he has never experienced in his entire life.
I mean, I know some thug niggas though that like they didn't go to jail because they was moving smart. You know what I mean? But that don't mean they wasn't like some real street motherfuckers either though. You know what I mean? Like some motherfuckers know how to move. Like, you know what I mean? I know dudes that was like selling drugs, but when shit started getting hot, they stopped for a little while and then start back up again. It's the motherfuckers that keep going no matter what.
Yeah, no, my friend Cavario was like this. He grew up in a drug dealer family, and he was taught at an early age how to move. And, you know, he talked about how his point like a lot of people go into this with the assumption they'll eventually get locked up, so there's sort of a fuck it kind of mentality. His point was, I'm never going to get locked up. I'm going to do everything possible, which means I'm not going to dress flashy. I'm not going to have cars that clearly I can't afford. I'm not going to do various things that's ultimately going to get me locked up.
I used to believe I was going to get locked up. Like, I used to be preparing. I was at the crib working out, like thinking, oh, I'm going. I want to be Diesel when I get there. Like most people get Diesel when they get to jail, and then, you know, they start working out, and then they come home.
Okay, so what did you get convicted of?
Criminal possession of a weapon.
Okay, and you went to jail?
Well, no.
Probation.
But I got a felony.
Okay, because it was the first time, and
yeah, I had a paid lawyer and all that type of shit, and
so you've never been in prison?
I've been in jail, but not prison.
And how long were you in jail for?
Bullshit,
a couple days. Yeah, me too. Yeah. So you and I both cannot relate to hard time, as we shouldn't.
But I could relate to doing street shit, and I could relate to being smart enough to fucking, like, I feel like I just moved smart. Like, I did plenty of shit that could have got me locked up, but I just moved smart. Like, some motherfuckers move before they think. You know, I think before I move. So I was able to avoid some of the pitfalls that people around me, you know what I mean? Like, I seen all my friends fucking catch sealed indictments and shit like that one time. That's what made me stop fucking around. Like,
and a sealed indictment is what?
When they fucking been watching you for so long that they fucking can just come and grab you, and they got all this fucking evidence on you, and you know, you're indicted before you even fucking was arrested type of shit. You understand?
Man, I remember the last time I was locked up in New York. You know, you get locked up in the precinct, right? And then they send you to central booking. So then in central booking, at least in New York, I don't know how it is in other places, you keep getting transferred from cell to cell. It's like you're in this cell, then this, until you eventually
to the court,
to the courtroom, right? So in the course of, you know, that instance, I probably was like in 8 or 9 different cells, right? As you go from cell to cell, you sometimes see the same people, right? So in one of my early cells, I'm speaking to this, like, you know, Spanish kid, and it's like, all right, well, what are you here for? I'm like, suspended license. What about you? Oh man, they raided my house looking for the drugs. They didn't find shit. The dog looking stupid. You know what I'm saying? My lawyer telling me he about to get me out, man. I'm good. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Best of luck. A few hours later, I'm in a cell with him. I walk in, this dude's head is down. I'm like, yo.
I'm getting out.
I'm like, what's good? He's like, lawyer told me they had me on tape, moving kilos. He told me he probably can't do nothing for me. It's just like, wow, things were all good a few hours ago.
What a difference a couple hours makes, right?
Yeah. So, you know, you can feel some type of way when them boys come.
Listen, I ain't down with none of that shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I ain't trying to willingly make myself a slave. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
because
that's what it is. It's modern day slavery.
Well, it's not even modern day slavery. It's always been slavery.
Right.
It's when the
like slavery is legal through
prisons.
Prisons.
Right. You get what, 7 cents a day?
Something like
I
that.
think something like that to work. And like, I think when I interviewed Boosie, he's like, a honey bun costs like 50 cents. So you got to work a whole week to get a honey bun.
Crazy.
You know, in the commissary.
Right.
Like, I don't get that. I personally don't get that. And he also said that when you go to like Louisiana, like
you're in a chain gang.
You're in a chain gang. Like, you know, like that movie Life, people think, oh, that's from the 50s.
That's Florida, that's Louisiana,
that's right now.
All of that.
Someone is on a chain gang as we're speaking right now.
Breaking rocks even.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Chained
you used
together.
to see that in the cartoons. They would be chained with the stripe fucking, yo, they still got those stripes.
Guy on a horse.
Joints.
With a, you know,
with
with
a
rifle.
shotgun.
Yeah.
Very plantation-esque.
Very much so. Yeah. So back to Troy. I think that my point is that from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to sleep, no matter how brave he presents himself to the world, how arrogant.
Right. He's worried.
Oh, I don't think worry is even the word. I think he's terrified. And mental trauma on a daily basis is, eventually will, fuck you up. Look at Aaron Hernandez.
Well, it's funny. We were talking earlier about like post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
Before the interview and all of that, and how like shit happens in the hood that, a lot of times there are no counselors and shit for that. Like,
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you just got to deal with that shit. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Troy. But
Listen, I don't want nobody going to jail. I don't want nobody killed. And you see what I'm saying? Like,
I've always had a problem.
I don't wish
though.
these things on nobody. Like,
Okay, so you mean to tell me that if someone does something heinous to you or your family, you wouldn't want them to go to jail?
listen.
I've always had a problem. I don't wish jail on nobody. I've always had a problem.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody did something to me, I would want justice. Now, is justice jail? I don't know. I want justice, whatever justice means to me. You know what I mean?
Like, for example, this is what came up recently. Steve Stevens, the Cincinnati shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati
Oh, yeah. Oh, that fucking bastard.
Yeah, the one who walked up to a random old man, asked him a question that
The
he
most
clearly
sucker shit that anybody
said, "Do you know so and so?" The guy, I don't know who
what
that
you're
is.
talking about.
Pulled out a gun, shot him in the head.
Right. Would I wish jail
Well,
on somebody like him?
What came up at
I
that?
wish death on him.
But what had come up at that point was the Cameron 60 Minutes interview, when they asked him, if you had a serial killer living next to you, would you call the police? No, I would move. If after shooting that old man, he went home and you looked at it and you said, "Oh shit, that's my next door neighbor,"
Right.
would you move or would you call the police? Or would you go handle it yourself?
Yeah, see, maybe the third option.
You'd
You know
handle
what
it
I mean?
yourself?
Maybe, it depends. Or maybe I'd get somebody to handle it. You see what I'm saying? So my hands don't have to get dirty. I don't know. Or maybe I would call the police. I'm not moving.
I would call you.
I'm not moving. That's what I'm not
saying.
doing. I'm not moving. And you see, like, again, people get it twisted, like, with the snitching and all of that. Like, he's not my Cody. I'm not snitching on him because we're not fucking doing crimes together. I didn't walk up to this man and just shoot him out of the blue. I just happened to know this motherfucker.
Right.
Now, you don't want to be cooperating in certain circumstances, but come on, that shit is crazy. Like what he did right there.
Right. So you would call the police, you would cooperate with the police, you would tell them all the information they need to know in order to...
In that circumstance, probably.
That's
yes.
what I'm saying.
Probably, yes.
Me too.
I mean, like the motherfucker had a beard, he looked fat, he fucking driving a Ford Fusion, whatever the fuck. Like, go get that motherfucker. Right. You know what I mean?
I don't want him next door to me.
But at the same time, if I had some sort of community watch, / I don't know, vigilante crew, I might call them motherfuckers. If I had that at my disposal, I might call those motherfuckers too. You see what I'm saying? You call the police because that's your frame of reference of how shit like that gets handled. You understand what I'm saying? And traditionally, they're the ones that are supposed to mete out justice. All I'm saying is, if there was some sort of other justice that I could pick from, then I would pick from that. But I'm not gonna just leave this motherfucker running around just because niggas say on the street, "Oh, you shouldn't fucking snitch." Right. After that motherfucker just did what the fuck he did.
Right, because think about
fuck
it,
him.
He might go shoot your daughter afterwards.
Absolutely.
If he were to shoot a random old man, what's to say he won't shoot your daughter?
What's to say he won't shoot me?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, get this motherfucker off the streets. Absolutely. Like, he's a fucking nut.
You see these poor communities.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of crime occurs in these communities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not only is there drug dealing, there is robberies, you know, armed robberies, home invasions, houses being robbed, random violence, whatever else, drug use, drug selling, etc. In these communities, people are promoted not to call the police. You know, snitches get stitches.
Right.
You shouldn't tell. People who tell end up getting killed themselves sometimes. So in these communities, let's just say everyone got together, all the working people of these communities who are not engaged in criminal activities got together and say, we're tired of the criminals making our communities unsafe. We're getting tired of worrying when I take my kid to school. When something happens, we're going to call the police. We're going to, you know, fuck this stop snitching shit. We are going to do our best to drive this element out of our community and try to improve the quality of life of where we live.
It wouldn't happen.
Why?
Because the reason why these criminals are there still exists. You think motherfuckers are just doing crime because they want to? You think people sell drugs and shoot each other and all of that because it's fun? This is a position they've been cornered into. Change the fucking society that put them in the corner and you'll see a different outcome. This is social engineering at its finest. Pack a bunch of people together in a project, stack them up however fucking high and have them all tight and give them very little resources and see what the fuck's gonna happen. So now you bring all those people together and they call the police on those people. All right, we got that wave out. Poverty's still here. Guess what? The people that's still there now, there's gonna be a power vacuum. They're gonna go right in and take the spot because they gotta make money. The young kids coming up, they gotta make money. What the fuck are they gonna do? You haven't solved anything by snitching on a whole community. Snitching is not the answer. It's not gonna clean up the hood. That's some bullshit. Now, are there situations where we can work with the police? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Fuck that. Like, somebody do some shit to my daughter or my family or whatever the case may be. And listen, if y'all motherfuckers can help me find these motherfuckers, because like I said, I'm going to try to do it on my own too, though. I'm going to have the police working on the case. I'm going to have my niggas on the street working on the case. You know what I mean? I'm going to come from a multiple prong attack to make sure that I receive justice. Why would I call somebody who I don't trust? When the police get there, they might do some shit to me, thinking I'm the bad guy, because the bad guy is black in their minds. So why call the police? See, the police represents the white man. Even when it's a black police officer, he represents the white man and the white establishment. The same white motherfuckers that put us in slavery and fucking had us Jim Crow and all the unfair shit that's gone on in this country. This is our frame of reference, so why call this man? He's never given us justice any other time, so why call him now? Is he gonna really come in and do justice? Or is he gonna come in and bust heads and fucking lock motherfuckers up and ultimately we're gonna help aid in what he wants? He wants to put us in jail. He wants to see us dead and all of that type of shit. So now we're gonna help be the agents of that? No. But at the same time, we can't blindly say, just blanket across the board, you're not fucking with the police. You know what I mean? Like, come on. some of these same niggas might walk up to the police and ask them for directions somewhere. How about that?
How about that?
You still fucking with the police.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Excuse me, officer, how you get to such a... I've seen gangster niggas that done that before. That's fucking with the police. You see what I'm saying? If you don't fuck with them, don't fuck with them at all. Like, don't even, you know what I mean? Like, I remember when my son was young, he's like 5 years old or some shit like that. And, you know, and there was a white police officer, like, acting like, oh, little cute kid, and trying to talk to him. And I'm just like, yo, you know what I mean? Don't try to be cool with him now, because once he turns like 15, 16, you're going to be ready to kill this motherfucker. You understand what I'm saying? You act like, oh, he's so cute now, but that same motherfucker, you're going to look at him with disdain and disgust and fucking, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Be ready to do whatever the fuck the police do. So at the end of the day, the police are not the answer, Vlad. They're not the answer, but sometimes we need to use them because we don't have our own police force or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? So if those are the ones that apprehend criminals or murderers and shit like that, some shit happens to you, you know, then yeah, you might have to fuck with them. But as far as snitching, see, what I agree with the no snitching part is, if you do crime, right? Now, whether society puts you there or not, you're still gonna make the choice. Like, everything's a choice, right? So now you chose, your circumstances are fucked up. You choose to do crime, right? And now you got your crew that y'all chose to do this with. Once you get caught, you got to understand, it's the life you chose. So you can't be now telling on motherfuckers to try to lessen your sentence and all that type of shit. See, that's where it really comes from. That's what snitching is. When we were working together and you get caught or I get caught, and now to try to save my ass, I'm telling where you're at, and with all this, they didn't even know about you. But now I'm telling on you, that's foul. That's snitching. That's some shit you should never do.
Right, because I've interviewed a lot of police officers and detectives and so forth. And what...
Even if you get more time,
yeah,
handle that shit.
What all the police have told me in my conversations with them is everyone likes to say they're not a snitch, but what ultimately happens in the long run is, yeah, they may not snitch at that particular moment, right, but at some later point when they're facing some other, situation, some other crime, and they're facing a bunch of years, and the detectives come in and say, what do you got for me? Give me something and I'll make this easy on you. Well, there's that murder that happened 5 years ago. How about that? Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So...
Listen, I know dudes that basically end up cooperating. They try to hold out, but they end up cooperating because all their fucking Codies ended up telling.
Right.
And now they're coming home and shit all early and shit. You trying to be the last fucking holdout and shit, and you just fucking sitting there trying to, and meanwhile, these motherfuckers is back out on the street, did the same fucking shit you did. And so after, a motherfucker in that circumstance is like, feels like, well, damn, everybody else told that was supposed to be so fucking gangster, like,
yeah.
Listen, how long can I keep this up? I want to fucking see my family too.
Real tough.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that happens too, and they'll wait it out. The police got time.
Right.
They'll wait it out when you want to tell. 10 years from now, I'll wait.
Exactly, because when it comes to murder, there's no statute of limitations.
So
it could happen 100 years later.
We'll wait this shit out. You fucking go ahead and just keep thinking about this shit.
Kodak Black recently was found guilty of violating 5 counts of house arrest. So he's out on parole, probation, whatever he's on for some other stuff that he was involved in.
And he keeps going out.
He's rolling around the country. He's doing this, he's doing that. He was supposed to go into counseling and so forth. He fucked that up. He grabbed the arm of the counselor, just doing a bunch of dumb shit.
Right.
And I believe he's, 19 years old?
I don't know.
Same age as Lil Yachty. So, literally 5 counts of house arrest, which means that he's going back to prison.
Right.
I mean, I believe he's in jail right now. So he hasn't been sentenced yet, but he's going back. I mean, what's your take on Kodak Black overall?
To be honest, I don't even know where he came from. Like, he just seemed like to just pop up on the scene one day. Like,
He's from Florida.
Right, I know. I don't think about him like that. I mean, I don't think he's a dope rapper or nothing like that. You know. But I feel like people like him because he sounds like very, very hood. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah.
one of those extremely southern hood, you know, dudes. Like, that's all I could see of why they like him. Like, I don't think that he's dope.
Well, his album was surprisingly good. I wasn't a huge Kodak Black fan myself. The stuff I heard was kind of mumble rappy. But when I listened to the album, I'm like, oh, okay, musically, he put together some interesting songs.
Did he? Okay.
You see footage of him rapping at like 10 years old. He had been at it for a very long time. So there's sort of a method behind what he does. He's not just going in there and just bullshitting. Like, this is someone that's been working for half his life to get to this point. And he's finally there.
And now he's fucking it all up.
He's in jail. And the judge even made a comment about it just doesn't seem like he has, people around him that have his best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've been in hip-hop most of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen this, I'm sure, over and over again, where you have someone who ends up blowing up at an early age.
And then they're just self-destructive to their own career and life.
Well, and they have people around them that don't have their best interest, that promote this because they're too worried that they're going to get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have that?
What's that?
Did you ever have people around you that was ultimately, yes men?
I tried very hard not to have that, but I saw other people in my crew have those type of people around. You understand what I'm saying?
Give me an example. Like Puba. Puba seems
Puba
like
had quite a few quite a few yes men around him, and that's what will embolden you. And you know,
I remember reading about this a long time ago when they were talking about how Puba's solo album was about to drop, and he had the deal with, I forgot which label.
Elektra.
Mm-hmm. And they had a whole promo tour laid out for him, and he just didn't even show up at the airport. And at that point, the label just said, fuck this. They just pulled the plug on the whole thing, and they're like, okay, whatever it sells, but we're not going to post any money and put any more money into this project.
Yep.
And even though I thought it was a great project, it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Like, he could have had the world at that point. If he just would have did everything he was supposed to do, he would have been so much further.
Yeah, he was kind of, would you say at one point he was sort of the Drake of hip hop? Like, in terms of like, this is the dude that everyone's fucking with. He didn't have the run that Drake had, you know what I'm saying? But at one point.
He was cooler than Drake, though.
Yeah.
But he did have, he was one of the top motherfuckers at that time.
Yeah,
like,
and his guest appearances, like on the Mary J. Blige shit, was just fire.
And that was kind of, if you think about it, that was kind of early. Like, all that guesting and like doing some real good shit on a guest record, like, that seems like commonplace today. But back then, that was kind of a big thing. Like,
yeah, you're gonna rap on an R&B record, like, huh?
Well,
even though Mary J. was the hip hop,
but it was just
R&B.
that whole bringing those things together that was not so common.
But essentially, you had someone with a massive amount of potential.
Right.
But you think the people around him basically were like, yeah, Puba, fuck that tour. You ain't gonna go on that shit. Like,
well, I think if he said fuck that tour, they weren't like, oh, yo, you really need to go, or whatever the case may be. Like, if he said fuck it, then they was like, fuck it. You know what I mean? But trust me, they wanted to go. You know what I mean? Whoever his yes man wanted to go, but no one was gonna be like, yo, I'm telling you, yo, you fucking up. You know what I mean?
So there's no one around. Well, what about you? I mean, at the point where, before you guys broke up, you eventually got back together, but before Brand Nubian, well, I guess Brand Nubian didn't break up, but before Puba left Brand Nubian, were you guys like, yo, we have all this potential, we have a 5-mic album, everyone loves, One for All, like...
Listen, part of the reason why we broke up is because I spoke up.
Aha.
You see what I'm saying?
So you were not the yes man. You were the no man.
I ain't never gonna be, never was, never will fucking be anybody's fucking yes man. Okay? Even if it's gonna be to my detriment. Okay? Like, we wasn't even out yet. I could have got kicked out of the group and all of that type of shit. But I was gonna stand up for what I felt was right. You know what I mean? So, yeah, without getting into all crazy details, just little shit was going on, and I'm the one that ended up being like, yo, that ain't cool. You know what I mean? I'm the one that's like, yo, man, you fucking up, not showing up for these shows or coming mad late and all that type of shit, like showing up for shows 5 hours late or some crazy shit. They closing the shit down, and then you still want the money for the show.
Yeah.
And almost get us into a fucking fight with these motherfuckers.
Right.
And then the type of motherfucker I am, even though you're wrong, I'm still ready to fucking stand there and fight with you. Right. Even though I'm tight at your fucking ass because you made us 5 hours late for this fucking show.
Yeah.
But you my man, and I'm still gonna rock with you even when you in the wrong. But I'm gonna let you know. You know what I mean? And the same, you know, the same how I got on here, you see, and people didn't like me at first because I was outspoken. You know, I kind of rubbed people the wrong way a little bit as far as speaking my mind as that. But then at the end of the day, just like people ended up coming over to my side, okay, on this Vlad TV shit, you know, it's like at the end of the day, you gotta respect it. Like, you gotta respect how I, you know what I mean? Just my honesty and just my, you know, this is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna pull no punches. I'm not biting my tongue, not gonna be your yes man type of dude, like, you know?
Well, Kodak Black turned down an 8-year plea deal. And then ended up being found guilty, so...
So now he can get what?
We don't know.
But it's gonna be more than 8 years.
We don't know. I don't know.
It's gotta be.
I don't know.
The plea deal was 8 years. What he's getting is maybe 15 or some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And there's no doing 15 years and then coming back out and thinking you're gonna be a rapper still. That's
a bit
fucking
of a stretch.
Insane.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting because when I interviewed Boosie, we had a conversation about this.
I had went and recorded with Kodak. I did that record we got together. It's doing real good. I did that record with him. Matter of fact, I did like 2 or 3 records with him. And I sit down and talk to him, and I just was basically telling him, man, if I was you, I'd get from Florida, man. You know, you young coming up, you already in a little trouble. I was just trying to tell him, get from Florida, but you know, from talking to him, Kodak, just like I was when I was younger, like, I ain't going nowhere. Ain't nobody making me go nowhere, you know. I'm finna put on for the hood. I'm finna stay across the track. So, you know, he's like, I'm 1800 block, you know. I feel I felt him, bro, you know, like, I was telling him one thing, but at the same time, I was feeling him at the same time.
I'm just telling you the reality. I've been there. I feel you. I said the same shit. And now look, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I had to take my lumps over this
right.
shit. And Boosie was on death row for
right.
3.5 years. Death row.
Crazy.
Which I never realized.
I didn't know he was on. I knew he was locked up. I didn't know he was on death row.
Right, because you
like,
watched our interview. Yeah. Well, because I just assumed, as I'm sure most other people would assume,
that they were talking about the record company.
Well, no, that you're on death row when you've been convicted of murder. Like, why would they put you on death row if you're still awaiting your trial?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you're technically innocent at that point. You know what I mean? Like.
So wait, he was on death row on his trial?
Yes. In Louisiana.
See, that's
Louisiana's
southern
on some
other shit. I never. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I thought you'd have to be convicted to be on death row.
No. In Louisiana, they will put you on death row if you are.
Oh, that's.
Because out there, their conviction rate is so high.
They're like, we pretty much know you're gonna be here anyway. So let me
Get your murdering ass.
Get your ass ready. Let me just get you acclimated to this whole, because this is where you're going, motherfucker.
This is where you're gonna stay until we finally kill you.
Wow.
Yeah, he was on death row for 3.5 years, and he beat it. He walked away.
That'll change your perspective on life, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, our Boosie interviews, they react on a whole other level, like to the point where he actually called one of his songs Vlad TV, because he said just the effect of our interviews were so big that people just kept hitting him so much that he had to make a song out of it, and he used parts of the interview in the song. So yeah, man. Well, I wish Kodak Black the best. His buzz level reminds me of Gucci, like at his height. His height before he went to jail. And
no, he definitely got that buzz.
He got it.
And Kodak, they don't want to see you winning and not paying attention. And it's like, okay, like I understand kind of why they like him. I'm just saying, like, he's not the most lyrical dude. He's not somebody that I'm going to go buy his tape and be driving around to the shit. But, I hear his little shit come on the radio and in the clubs. And, there's this shit that I don't think his shit is horrible. You know what I mean? It's just not some shit that I want to fucking listen to. But there's other niggas that I think their shit is horrible.
Well, Kevin Gates just got sentenced to 30 months.
Now, I like Kevin Gates. I like his music.
He did his time over the kicking of the girl.
Right.
Right. And what was interesting about that case was that it seemed like not really a big deal. He's at a concert. I guess the girl kept like grabbing his dick or something, and he kept telling her to stop, and she kept doing it. He finally just kicked her, But apparently he was just doing dumb shit in court. He was like falling asleep in court and like essentially disrespecting the judge, which, not the best strategy. Because at the end of the day, that man holds the key to your life at that particular moment. Don't get it twisted. So he was about, he gets sentenced to I think a year or something. I forgot how long he was sentenced for. But then he's about to get out, and then boom, he gets transferred to Chicago where he had a gun charge, and now just the other day he was sentenced to 30 months over that. So that's another 2.5 years in prison.
And he was just popping. Like, that's another example of something. Like, it seemed like he just started popping, like, you know what I mean? And now look, like, that's fucked up. Like, that 2 phones, 1 for the plug, that was my shit right there. Like, I was like, yo, I like this dude. And then he has some other shit.
Yeah, Kevin Gates is talented.
Yo, he's talented. I like his shit. But see, what's funny? It seems like a lot of the really talented people, they be bugged out in some kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, is it, Like
well, genius and insanity is...
Yeah, you see them saying that who's my man that cut his ear off and all that type of shit?
Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah, like the Van Gogh effect. It's like you're talented, but you're fucking, you do something that's self-mutilating almost. You know what I mean?
Right, and it was over some girl he was dealing with ended up stealing one of his paintings. And he would basically...
So you go ape shit and cut your own ear off.
And send it to her. And said, this painting means so much to me. It means as much as my ear. Here's my ear.
I hope you can hear where I'm coming from.
Please send me the painting. What was interesting also about Vincent Van Gogh that I don't think a lot of people realize is as much as he's celebrated, he has some of the most valuable paintings of all time.
Right.
Like Starry Night, and these are iconic pieces.
Right. Did he have mental illness or something like that?
Well, he died dead broke. He made no money off his paintings. He just painted because he loved to paint. He ultimately, there's a weird story about how he died, whether he got killed or something like that, or he killed himself. We're not quite sure, but during his lifetime, he barely just sold a few paintings here and there to just get by and just kept painting. And then after he died, his brother took it upon himself to say, okay, here's this huge collection of my brother's paintings. I'm going to start taking it around. And then people at that point started to realize what they had on their hands. And now, whatever, 100 years later, 200 years later, you know.
Listen, you're not always appreciated in your time. He's not the only one. There's been plenty of people that weren't appreciated in their time, you know. But you plant the seed, and when it finally grows, you know, fruit comes from it.
We seem to be gearing up with a war with North Korea. To the point, well, where Trump moved one of his battleships
very slowly
towards Korea.
Yeah.
And I recently heard on the news that they're now installing the anti-missile technology in South Korea, the stuff that they use like in Israel that basically could shoot missiles out of the sky. And it seems like Korea is like not backing down.
Right.
During one of their big parades, they showed a video of
big-ass bombs,
nuclear missiles hitting America.
Oh, right.
An actual video, like this is what we...
Yeah, this is the mock-up we had made of what we'd like to see if y'all fuck around.
They threatened Australia with nuclear weapons. I, for one, am getting pretty sick of North Korea. What about you?
I mean, we're not getting sick of Trump. I think I'd be a little more sick of Trump first than of North Korea. What's North Korea doing to you? I'm pretty sick of him tweeting and fucking, you know, just being non-presidential and fucking, you know. I'm sick of him before North Korea. Like, again, what are they really doing? Other than saying, we're not scared of you, America, fuck you.
Yes, that's true. But here's the reality about North Korea. If you look at the world, right, from a satellite view, and you look at all the countries around North Korea, like you could see all the lights and everything else like that, you know, because of all electricity, the buildings, everything else like that. Where North Korea is just dark.
So what?
Because it is actually, I believe, punishable by death to have a cell phone in North Korea.
Okay. So what? What's your point?
My point is that this guy is essentially keeping his country in the dark ages.
And what I'm saying is America don't give a fuck about that. They'll put it out there as if that's the reason why they're fucked. They don't give a fuck about the conditions of the people of North Korea, that the lights is out from the space, and who gives a fuck? They don't care about that. That's just some shit they tell us to try to give some sort of justification of why they're fucking with him. Why are they really fucking with him? What's the real purpose? Is it just because he got nuclear weapons? I don't think so. It's some other shit behind it. It's not a person's civil rights atrocities of why America goes into places and does the things that it does. It'll say that. It'll use that as an excuse, but trust me, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, because if they really cared about people and how they lived and all that type of shit, then they'd be focused on motherfuckers right here in America that are fucking piss poor and fucking have no health care and all this other shit and no education, no jobs, none of that. Focus on that shit before you worried about if motherfuckers got cell phones in North Korea. Who gives a fuck? It ain't got nothing to do with nothing. They just want you to join in so that they'll seem justified when they attack these motherfuckers.
Well, for a very long time, there was a situation with Cuba since the 60s. There was a Cuban embargo that happened that Obama ended up lifting. Ultimately, he said, you know, we had this embargo. Nobody's benefiting from this.
Yeah, it's been 40 some odd years.
Yeah, it's been 40, 50 years. We're going to lift it. You know, Castro, I guess, was about to die. at the time. His brother, was running the country. And now you could actually travel to Cuba legally.
Right.
I actually want to check it out.
I'd like to too.
Yeah, I think it's dope. So ultimately, it's kind of a money thing. We know that we can't make any money off North Korea, so they're viewed as an enemy.
Exactly. So stop telling me about they don't have cell phones and shit like that. Just say what the fuck you mean. They're fucking up our money. They're stopping me from, I'm getting money in South Korea, but I can't get no money in North Korea. I don't like that.
Right, because South Korea, your phone is made by South Korea.
Exactly.
You're still an Android guy.
So, even though I'm thinking about switching back. But anyway, so let's just be real. Don't give me these fake excuses that you're some humanitarian that goes across the world to fight humanitarian causes and, restore fucking order in a fucking country. Y'all don't give a fuck about none of that. It's all about, can I get paid here? Is somebody stopping me from getting paid here? If so, they gotta go. That's what the fuck it's all about. Period.
Well, the other day I was researching something, and I said, well, do you think that in the future there will be a world government? So I was Googling this.
They've
world
been
government
working towards that for the longest.
And some of the top answers to this were kind of interesting. And the one that really stood out to me as, essentially what most people felt was the best answer for this was that we're already in a world government. We don't want to admit it,
right?
Because we technically have
Borders.
Different presidents and so forth. But unlike, let's say, 200 years ago, where essentially
each country was working autonomously.
Each country was essentially autonomous. If one country wanted to do something that the other country didn't agree, it didn't really make much of a difference. But, remember, this was maybe 2011, 2012. Greece was going to, file for bankruptcy essentially and leave the, the European Union. And the whole economy was getting fucked up. I remember, as someone who owns stocks, the stock market was plummeting and stuff like that.
Right, because of what was happening in Greece. It's affecting shit over here.
And I remember my financial advisor, I talked to him about this, and he goes, you do realize that the economy of Greece is equivalent to the state of Washington. You know what I'm saying? And Washington is not even the biggest state. Right. It's far from the biggest state in the United States. That's like taking Washington out of the equation in America. So you take Washington out of the equation of the world and it's affecting the whole entire world. It's a little bit crazy, right? But it just goes to show that there really is a world government already. And
a world financial, a world banking system.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's why, even though a little fucking country like Greece, who's no bigger than Washington, if they remove themselves out of there, it upsets the whole
thing.
Scheme of things.
Yeah, and look what ultimately happened. Ultimately, Germany came in and bailed them out.
Right. Whole nother country.
How about that?
Ain't even close to Greece.
Right.
It's not even a neighbor of Greece. You know what I mean?
It's just
way somewhere else. You know what I mean?
It's in Europe. Yeah.
So, yeah.
We have a world government.
Yeah.
And you fast forward to, let's say, 1,000 years, I think it's going to,
No, first of all, this thing's not going to last 1,000 years.
You don't think the world's going to last 1,000 years?
No, not the world. These governments, as we know. America, first of all, the financial system that we have here in America cannot last very much longer. This shit's gonna fucking collapse at some point. Believe it. Oh, believe it, Mr. Stockman. This shit is gonna fucking fall like a house of cards at some point.
Well, you're gonna have crashes, period. How many crashes have we had in our lifetime?
I mean a whole falling apart of the whole system. Trust me, if you really look into, economist shit and all of that type of shit, it's been predicted. They know it's gonna happen. That's what's so crazy. They just don't know when it's gonna happen. But it's going to happen. Definitely. So what I'm saying is, you know, that's part of the New World Order plan, to try to have put together a society that will last like 1,000 years. You know what I mean? That was like a Hitler plan also. He wanted his shit to last 1,000 years. This country's only how old?
200 years old?
200 some odd years old. Y'all motherfuckers ain't making it. You're not making it to 400. Trust me. America's not making it to 400.
So you say America's going to fall apart?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. At some point, it's going to fall apart. You can't.
What's going to replace it?
Hopefully, something better, something righteous, something that has learned its lesson from the past.
Well, because ultimately, one system is more efficient than a whole bunch of small little systems. You see what I'm saying? Consolidation in any company, in any industry, is usually good until you get to, you know, but then again, you have the whole monopoly thing. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone monopolizes a system and there's no checks and balances, then you
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't let someone. It can't be just one.
Right, because if you have a world government, then you'll have a world president.
If you go by the systems that we use now.
Democracy. Capital.
Well, first of all, we don't even live in a democracy. We live in a republic. So democracy is bullshit. They go around the world trying to spread democracy, but this is not even a democracy. Okay? So cut the bullshit out with democracy.
Imagine a world president.
Well, see, that's you know, actually they tried to create the American president is almost like the world president. Because if you think about it, he seems to be the most popular of presidents. Like whoever the American president at the time.
Yeah.
They seem to put him up as the most popular of all world leaders.
Well, right. Well, because
it is usually the American president.
Right, because America is the most powerful country in the world at this time.
No,
you don't
it's
think
not.
so?
No.
Who, China?
Maybe, yeah, maybe China. It's not America. See, that's what I'm saying. America has great propaganda. It has great marketing. America was the strongest in like the 50s.
Well, no, America...
We are not, hold up. I don't even like saying we. America is not what you think it is. It ain't number one in nothing except crime and fucking incarceration and murder and shit like that. As far as like education and fucking actually being strong and all that, these motherfuckers ain't number one. You're not number one. But they project themselves as number one. They give you the feeling like they're the strongest.
The United States has the most powerful military in the world. They have a defense budget of $690 billion. An active military personnel of 1.5 million.
What's the second? What is and what's their?
It is Russia.
Russia.
A defense budget of $64 billion. Active military personnel of 1.2 million. So it's pretty close. It's pretty close. This is why Russia's kind of a big deal these days. This is why people are kind of the whole Russia-Trump thing.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
But it's funny because it seems like, you know, the standard of living over there is not necessarily the same. Even though I haven't been over there.
I've been over there.
Is it as modern as over here?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, at least the places I went to. You know, I mean, I was in Moscow and St. Petersburg. You know, I don't know if you go out to the country, what you really got. Because that's the whole thing with China. Yeah, like Hong Kong is popping and Beijing is popping. But then there's rural China where people don't have internet. You know, some people still don't have electricity.
I heard they got buildings in China that are like just built. Nobody lives in them.
Yeah, because at one point, there was... See, the thing is that China went through this kind of slow shift from communism to a certain degree of capitalism. So at one point, people were allowed to buy homes. You know, at one point, you were just assigned your home. You know? And when people bought homes, you sort of had this huge real estate bubble where people put their life savings in these homes, hoping to flip them and stuff like that. And this huge housing boom happened, and then it busts. It busts.
Crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the stock market over there and so forth. So number 3 is China, with a defense budget of 129 billion. And here's the interesting part.
North Korea's next.
They have an active military personnel of 2.3 million.
So they got more
They
personnel.
actually have more active military personnel, but we have a higher
spending
defense
budget.
budget. So a much higher. So we have 690 billion defense budget. They have 129 billion. So essentially, what is that, like 4 times?
Yeah.
Almost 5, like 4.5 times. So they may have more soldiers, but we got more artillery. We got more planes, more bombs, more this, more that. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
There we go. And
So I guess America's the strongest militarily.
And number 4 is actually India. Number 4 is India.
They be having some big ass military parades, now that I think about it.
Defense budget of 44 million, 1.3 million active military personnel. The UK is number 5. Defense budget of 56 billion. See, this is where they get fucked up. Active military personnel of 224,000.
Okay, hang on. So America spends the most money on war, right?
Yep, on weapons.
On weapons. But the country with the most money per capita was Qatar, yes?
It's a very small country, though.
Right, but what I'm saying is the country with more money than America.
They don't have more money than America. They just have more money per citizen than America.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
Qatar and America aren't even close.
Well, as far as size.
Well, in terms of just money, period.
Right, okay.
Qatar just has a lot of oil and very few people,
gotcha.
so the people that are there are all very rich, essentially, the citizens.
I'd like to put together a few different lists and see where America falls.
France is number 6, Germany is number 7, South Korea is number 8, Italy is number 9, Brazil is number 10.
Brazil, really?
Brazil. So those are the top 10 military.
You don't think of Brazil as a military, do you? I feel like I don't.
$32 billion defense budget.
Really?
371,000 active military personnel. They even have a broken down aircraft. So, for example, Brazil has 822 total aircraft and 106 total naval strength. Compare that to the U.S.
500,000.
15,000 total aircraft, 290 total naval strength.
Crazy.
Right, we got a whole lot more planes. You know, a lot more boats.
Right.
And a whole lot more technology. Because my thing is that I think at this point in time, if North Korea tried to launch a nuclear missile, that missile will probably get shot out of the sky. There'd probably be nuclear fallout in North and South Korea.
Well, first of all, that nuclear fallout would probably go around the world, though.
Not around the world, but definitely in that area.
Listen, they got volcanoes that fucking spewed out some shit all the way across the other side of the world, and the ash traveled around the fucking world.
Right, that's a volcano.
It's still fallout.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If you put some fallout into the atmosphere, it's still gonna do the same fucking thing.
To a certain degree, but you know, like for example, in Chernobyl, there was in Russia, which is close to where I actually used to live. There was a
leak.
A nuclear meltdown.
Right.
It was a meltdown. It wasn't just a leak.
Right, but that's different than a nuclear explosion.
Right, but we dropped an atomic bomb in Japan. It didn't fuck up the whole world.
No, but an atomic bomb is not a nuclear bomb. You don't know what the fuck. You know what I mean? Did the shit travel around the earth? You don't fucking know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It definitely fucked up a whole lot of people over there, I'll tell you that. And they still growing fucking, arms out the side of their face and all that type of shit. Type of shit that should be on the cover of Lil Yachty's album and some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.